And this one's a competitive economic strategy game that does take place in Japan, where players are trying to build and progress giant conglomerates of interconnected companies. And this is also a new edition of a previously released game, but it does look quite a bit different than it because this features all new artwork and upgraded components, and there will also be an improved storage solution. The overall gameplay does remain mostly the same, but there have been some changes and improvements there as well, and this version does also include a solo mode. But if you're not familiar with the original game, this is a game where players are going to be drafting workers and then placing them onto their board in order to perform various actions. The main board features 9 different action locations, and adjacent to each of these is a space for various workers, and these are going to be randomly assigned to those spaces at the beginning of each round. This game works kind of like a reverse worker placement because instead of placing your workers out here to take those actions, you're actually going to be drafting a worker of your choice and then choosing one of the 2 actions associated with the space where you drafted that worker from. Every time you draft a worker, you're going to be placing it on one of the spaces in the column here, which means that there is a limited amount of workers you can draft before you run out of space, and that's the reason that one of your options on your turn instead of drafting a worker is to clear all the workers off your board. Every time you do this, you do have to pay an amount of coins multiplied by the number of different colored workers you've drafted, so it is normally more efficient to try and draft workers of the same color. The one caveat with this is that when you do clear your board of your workers, the colored worker at the bottom and top of this column are going to dictate the rewards that you get for performing that action. But if you're not clearing off your board yet, like I said, you're going to be drafting one of those workers and performing one of the 2 associated actions, and these different actions can allow you to do all sorts of things like build new factories out on your personal player board, which you can see at the bottom here, and they're all going to be producing different types of resources. You can also invest in research and development in order to upgrade these factories in a variety of ways, but of course the whole reason that you are doing all of this is so that you can supply different markets with your goods in order to gain influence there, and also use your goods to complete different types of objectives, which will earn you victory points for the end of the game. And of course, there are actions that allow you to do that, and players will be keeping track of their influence around the different markets using these tokens here. And there are also actions that you can use to help drive opponents out, and also actions to help you build up your railroads and trains, which can bolster your position on these different markets. Players can also build ships out on the board in order to get additional bonuses anytime that they perform that reset action that I explained to you earlier. And the players continue like this throughout the round, drafting those different workers and taking one of the associated actions, or instead choosing to take one of those reset actions on their turn instead, until all the workers have been drafted. And that's going to be triggering the end of the round, but every couple of rounds there will be some scoring that takes place. Players are going to be scoring points based on their completed contracts, any upgrades that they were able to make on their own personal player boards, as well as the current control that they have on the various markets. The game continues like this until this token reaches the end of the round tracker, and that's going to be triggering final scoring, which does include a few other areas for victory points as well. And of course, it's the player with the most victory points after all of those points have been tallied that wins the game. And if this one does sound interesting to you, you can go ahead and check it out, and I will have it linked in the description down below.